Is there anything that pisses you off like that? Like what is it somebody could do or say about you that really like peeves you, grinds your gears? Like what really bugs you?
Um, yeah, it's surprising how high of quality some of these channels will put into production value. Like that video from like Riddle I made the other day about testosterone.
Yeah,
Weirdest video
unbelievable.
ever. I was like, how did you even like you hired like a professional narrator, obviously. Like I highly doubt it's the guy who made the channel's voice. Had all of these high quality animations, like Jeremy Ethier does the same thing with these like, animated people
Little
doing all
stick
this stuff.
characters doing their thing and they're walking,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay. It's like,
Yeah, it's like I'm watching like a I don't know, like a children's special, like educating me on something. It's like you think this
yeah.
is actual. I don't know. It like reinforces their credibility because they have so much production value behind their stuff. And I'm like, wow, like you're like 4 million subscribers and you just like totally butchered the shit out of this to the point that they said some guy who had like very bad CTE from wrestling used to take like chair shots in the head constantly,
Yeah.
killed his family because he took tests.
It's
I
because of
was like,
testosterone. Blame it right on that. And it's like, you really just
yeah,
said that? Like, it's
yeah.
unbelievable. I'm watching that and I'm like friggin' like triggered watching your video talking about it. I'm like,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Those are the ones I like making, I guess. As long as they're not. Sometimes they're the only thing is like sometimes they're long though. I find it's really hard to stay like your 12-minute like nice cutoff. It's so impossible for me because when I start rambling, I don't realize I go for 10 minutes about one point, and then I get back to the video and I'm watching and I look at my camera. It's like 30 minutes deep in a video, and I'm like 2 minutes into the YouTube video. I'm like, oh my god, like this is gonna end up
yeah.
being an hour.
The best
Yeah.
example is Jeremy Buendia because he did like a 45-minute video, which I condensed into like 20 minutes. And you're like, well, I don't have time to watch his 45-minute video. I'm going to do one based on Greg summarized it. And then your video is
Yeah.
like 35 minutes long. And
Yeah.
you're like, Derek summarizes a 25-minute video in a 35-minute video.
Yeah.
But it's like, how
Yeah.
can you not? Because every topic comes up and you're like, well, I can add on to this. I can add on
Yeah.
to that. I remember you're adding on to like the EQ portion where I say where it's not going to affect estrogen. And you're like, well, based on this and these studies, it shows that it can. And it's like, so there's so much more you can add to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those ones are the funnest. And the natty, I don't think people understand the natty or nots involve like a lot of research too, because it's like we are guessing, but at the end of the day, we don't want to guess based on nothing. So we'll be like, what did this guy look like 20 years ago? And like literally go try and find like obscure photos of the guy from like forever ago. Go look at all of his statistics. What did he lift? Like every video until current. Look through his entire archive of everything. Scrolling down at Instagram to the bottom of a guy's profile takes a while. Like
It
that kind of
does.
like sitting like that's a job for somebody. Like I should be paying somebody to scroll down, like get to the bottom of this 2000 post Instagram for me so I can look at what he used to look like.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Pay staff
yeah.
to just stand there and scroll for 5 minutes
Yeah.
because that's 5 minutes I could have been doing something else. Like literally, it would pay itself off. But the one video that we both did that I think is the most controversial of all is Chris
Chris
Bumstead.
Bumstead.
The
Yeah.
and in that volleyball spike with a little bit of it looked like potentially there was gyno, but then you see the
Yeah.
before and after and the jump in muscle, and it's like
Yeah.
that's why we said he's natural. And I've had so much flack for like, you are an idiot. Look at that picture and look at this, and he has no genetics.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, well, if he can't look like that naturally, like who can, who can, you know? It's like, I don't know. It's tough at that point. I get some people, they think he did like, because some people they claim they're still natty when they did like over the counter pro hormones and whatnot. So like I think that's probably the middle ground where some people think he might have done that versus like his first real cycle. But it's like he still exploded before, like you can typically tell a guy like when he hops on for the first time and he explodes, like grows into a show while cutting. It's
yeah.
kind of like, I don't know. Like for me, it was I don't know, like trying to debate that topic. It's like, why would he be, I don't know, lie
It's like
about
he
it?
might have, but he like
Yeah.
he's a believable guy. I'm friends with him, and I don't think he lied. And is it possible that he took like a SARM or something? Like, yeah, and he didn't even realize it. Yeah, but like I don't
Yeah.
think so. Just that sheer amount of growth that he did that quickly, prepping for a show. It's like I think that people that are thinking he's not natural, the ones that haven't taken PDs and they think that you're just going to be massive because they see like Brandon Harding. He put on no pounds of muscle on a 20-week cycle leading into his last show where he looked amazing, was shredded. But because of that calorie deficit, even with the PDs, he didn't grow. 20 weeks, and no muscle growth looked great. And he put on 10 or 15 muscles in the last 2 years. And I think people in their minds are thinking, oh, you probably put 30, 40, 50 pounds on, no problem. I don't know if you've ever trained on a cycle and been like enhanced and really be cutting and just struggling in the gym. But I've gone to the gym where I'm like, I say I could bench 300. I put 300 pounds on for like, say I'm going to do a set of 15. And I'm like, I can't even look at this weight right now. Like I can't do it. Like I'm just like this. I've had people drive me to the gym because I didn't have the energy. I didn't trust my ability to drive to the gym and I have to go and work out. Like, think of it. I'm literally like, I don't trust that I won't get in an accident because I can't do a proper shoulder check and I'm going to the gym to train. I've trained like that on test, all these drugs, and I feel like garbage. And I've been stronger natural than completely enhanced every drug in the world. I look great, but I feel like shit. I'm just going through the motions in the gym. I'm not putting on a muscle. I'm just losing muscle at this point. So have you felt like that? Have you ever cut that much where you're like, I can't train. I didn't eat enough.
I've cut to the point where I've been like very, very lethargic and fatigued where I'm just like barely functioning, but I've never been to the point where it's like even movements like shoulder checking that I don't trust myself to do.
Yeah, oh man, it is a nightmare. Much. Is there anything that pisses you off like that? Like what is it somebody could do or say about you that really like peeves you, grinds your gears? Like what really bugs you?
Mainly when people take stuff if somebody takes something I said, like I mentioned earlier, how I tell people only watch my content within the last year and take that as like what I am thinking right now. If somebody goes and reads an article or watches a video I made from like 4 years ago or something, when I have said many times, I'll literally do the same topic again and literally disprove myself from years ago. And they take that and say like, Derek's a fucking moron because he said this. I'm like, yeah, like that was dumb. At the time, it was, what I thought. But now, I think otherwise. But that often gets brought up as like, like, how could you trust anything he says because he said this before? It's like, I'm able to educate myself and learn too. It's not like whatever I say that's the concrete thing I think forever. But that's when people take me out of context and take something I said like half a decade ago and are like my brain hadn't even reached like full development at that point. And they're taking that and telling me like that is literally what you're gonna think forever. It's like, no, dude, that really annoys me. I don't know, like it's, a lot of times I'm sure you've experienced this too, where people will just put words in your mouth and say you said something you've never said.
The straw man argument.
Yeah.
The straw man, I don't know if you know what that is, straw man, like somebody says you said this and says it's wrong. Like I'd be like, man, that Derek, he said that this guy's Derek, he hates black people. It's like, I didn't say that. And be like, yeah, what a jerk. Like he's freaking racist. It's like, but he didn't say that. You're saying he said that. And then that's what people say about me. And I'm like, where did this come from? So it pisses me off. And at the same time, you can't make a response video to everything because I get sent every day. Like there's somebody that scrolls the internet, types Greg, like, and I get all these videos and then I watch and I comment. People are like, I'm so narcissistic because I like going, I'm like, but yet I'm trying to encourage other people to make videos about me by doing this, because the more that people speak it, more it spreads the word. So it's motivation to comment on people's videos because they're going to like that. Well, why wouldn't you? You're doing a video on somebody when you want them to watch it. So go there and watch it. And then you're a narcissist. And it's like, you can't win. Like, you know what I mean? And you can't respond to everyone. You can't comment on, I call them mosquitoes. I'm like, there's a lot of mosquitoes that you can swat, but I don't have time to swat everything. Like, it's just too much.
And it ends up getting that there'll be videos like in pockets of the internet where you're never going to get the time to respond to them. So it just, in that pocket of the internet, it becomes fact to all of them. And it's just like, you can't do anything about it, but they're going to believe that about you. And it's like, well, fuck.
Absolutely. There's certain threads and forums and things that have happened 10 years ago where it's probably a 12-year-old said this about you. And they're like, well, it's on this forum. And it's like some emoticon where it's like you don't even know who the person is. They say this thing and they think that's fact. And then people 10 years later read it and say, well, this is what was said about Greg. So it's true. It's like I put people in prison ratted out all these people, my friends for years, and they're all rotting in jail. And I'm like, no, but you're making it up and saying it. And then people regurgitate it, keeps coming up. And I literally have made like every response to these videos and I just watch it. Or people saying Greg's a fake natty. And I'm like, but yet I'm literally got this many videos outlining my cycle. And you're saying that I'm lying. I'm just on HRT. And I'm like, but it's right there. So you can't address it every single day. I try to do a certain amount, but at some point you just got to move on.